For those struggling to get by, food banks are a vital lifeline, and with prices rising for almost everything these days, they're more important than ever.
You go in, before you used to be able to go in and spend money and come out with a good amount of shopping, but now it's like everything's taxed more and everything's gone up, and it's hard for people to survive.
Inflation is spiking to the highest level in decades.
Fighting Hunger Food Bank is asking for the community's help this holiday season. This as the number of families in need continues to grow larger during these uncertain times. KTSM 9 News reporter Tani Davis spoke with the officials from the food bank about what they need and how you can help. Tani filed this report.
These shelves around me are usually filled with food for the El Paso community, but as the holiday season is approaching, it's getting even harder to fill up. According to officials, the amount of food that food banks rely on is at incredibly low levels. With other food banks across the country facing the same issues, they are experiencing what they're calling a perfect storm due to the variety of other factors beyond their control.
We're seeing reduced amounts of food due to lack of labor in the manufacturing process. We're seeing supply chain issues with lack of trucks, the increased cost of fuel, lack of manpower to transport food items.
The food bank is now down to a 4-day food supply on hand, where usually they have around a 6-week supply. With the food supply shortage, the food bank has had to look beyond their normal range to find surplus food in order to get what they need to feed the people of El Paso and the borderland.
There is not a state in this country that we're not touching, with the exception of Alaska and Hawaii. So we're in 48 states on a regular basis, bringing back food to supply El Paso and our region.
With the stress of the holidays and the growing families and individuals in need, the food bank is asking for donations from the community in hopes that they can get back to where they need to be.
Tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. We are hoping that this community will find it in their hearts to support the food bank and help us bring more food that's desperately needed by our neighbors.
It's 9 a.m. and there's already a line forming outside the door of the Father English Food Pantry in Patterson.
From the time we open to the time we close, we do see a line of people. I come here at 7:30 in the morning and I already have 35 people out there waiting for food.
With inflation at a 40-year high, Pantry Director Carlos Roldan says food banks and pantries like this one in Patterson are seeing more demand, more new faces, but not enough donations to keep up with the demand.
Many of the people who come to the food pantry actually never came before, didn't have a need to come before. But now, because the economy is so bad, food is so expensive, rent is so high, that even though people do work and they do make good money, it's never enough. So they still have to come here to pick up laundry detergent, baby items, baby food, regular food, vegetables, meat. Thank God we can provide all that, because we do have some people who give us money to buy it, and we do have some donations. And I'm praying to God that will continue, because these people depend on the food pantry, and it's not just people who do not work. No, 80% of these people do work, but the situation is that everything is too expensive out there.
Roldan says the pantry went from serving 5,000 people a month to more than 20,000 people a month, and about 1,000 bags of food every day.
We're talking about millions of dollars of food that we're giving out, made possible through the generosity of others, each and every year, upwards of $3-4 million worth of food and hygiene items and other such products that were given out to those most in need, all made possible through donations.
Donations that helped former client turned volunteer Sheila Belvin.
The food is so expensive at the grocery stores. A loaf of bread costs you $4 or $5 alone. A gallon of milk is $6. I was ashamed, but you know what? God said, people are giving and it's a blessing. So there's no shame whatsoever for me and other clients as well. They come here and they're so appreciative of this company. Yes.
Maria Torres is a pantry manager in Newark, where they're seeing nearly 25,000 families a month. The demand is so high that they even created a mobile food truck and free community refrigerators to expand outreach.
In a month, like 2,400 families walking through the food pantry. Last month, we did 24,875 family walking through. Everybody's looking for the stuff that are very expensive right now, like the eggs, fresh produce. I'm seeing people looking for Pampers. I'm seeing people looking for formulas. Items that right now they're kind of crazy to find, or they're expensive for them and they're not working.
The concerns are consistent across the state, where pantry director for the Angels Community Outreach in Pittman says for the first time in 13 years, they had to shut down the pantry.
I want to see it get better. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure it's going to. And beyond the families donating to us, now we have added people needing help because now they can't provide food for their own family now. And it's really hard. They come in and we don't have any food left. We can't help you this week. And that's one of the hardest things, especially if you have an elderly or a veteran. I have to say, unfortunately this month, I can't help you.
Welcome back. Inflation has hit hard in Colorado and food banks are feeling it too.
Yeah, they are. It's impacting the price of food, of course, and the cost of distributing the food to people in need.
9 News reporter John Glasgow is live from the Community Food Share in Louisville for us this morning. And John, food banks are trying to keep up with the increase in demand there.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, this has become a weekly routine for so many in this community. This food bank opens at 9 o'clock here this morning. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, and there's 3 cars that are already lined up here waiting to get a ticket so they can go in and get their groceries for the week. So when the price of groceries goes up at the stores, they say that the line here will stretch around the block depending on the week and depending on the price of the food at the store.
Every week at the Community Food Share in Louisville,
And you got to wake up early
the community shows up.
because the line is pretty long.
A line of cars wrapped around the block.
2020 was a rough year for just about everybody.
People like Mike Cavett, waiting their turn to pick up their groceries for the week.
Now we're dealing with inflation, and any little bit of help that anyone can receive at this point is much appreciated.
The Community Food Share says it's seen a nearly 60% increase this year in the number of people using their services.
Many of our families are living paycheck to paycheck, and those paychecks aren't growing as fast as inflation is.